Weymouth After Dark at hotmail.com. Register your vote now, and later in the show we're going to tabulate the results of that. But Joe, I think it's time for us to travel back to those bygone days in 1925.
Them days of the roaring 20s of Al Capone and whatnot, and Warren G. Harding. And,
yes. We'll go from the South Shore
and
to the South.
Although some say, folks, there's something of a modern-day Valentino.
In any case,
tonight, but that's beside the point.
Weymouth After Dark is about to present to you a dramatization of the Scopes trial. The prosecution, William Jennings Bryan, famous American orator and three-time presidential candidate, will be battling against the defense, Clarence Darrow, in that Tennessee courtroom. So we're going to transport you back there and then rejoin you afterwards for some rebuttal. Meet you down there in Tennessee, Dayton, Tennessee. All rise. The state of Tennessee versus...
Objection. Just checking.
That objection speaks for itself, Your Honor.
The state of Tennessee versus John Thomas Scopes. Judge Ralston presiding. Please be seated. God save the state of Tennessee. The defendant is accused of violating the Butler Act, teaching evolutionary principles that man is descended from lower orders in Tennessee public schools. We will begin with the opening statement from the prosecution.
Oh, that's me. Okay.
Yes.
The individual is but an atom. He is born, he acts, and he dies. But principles are eternal. On one hand, we have the forces of imperialism, exploitation of the workers, the gold standard, and yet on the other hand, we have the forces of the farmer, the worker, the average American, and free silver. And their champion is Bryan, Prairie Avenger, Mountain Lion, speaking like a siege gun, smashing Plymouth Rock with his boulders from the west. Thank you, Judge Purina.
Please be seated. Now we will have the opening statement from the defense attorney, counsel Clarence Darrow.
A good time to put up the graphic that says that he's Clarence Darrow.
Mr. Bryan, why don't you get back to what you're good at? Failing to win the presidency. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let's get serious here. This case is not really about whether a man, Mr. Scopes, my client, taught evolution to school children in Tennessee. It's really a battle of ideas, a battle of conscience, a battle for the future of America and for the heart and minds of our citizenry. Now, in this battle, ladies and gentlemen, you have an important choice to make. You have a choice between prejudice of Mr. Bryan and the progress of me, Clarence Darrow. You have a choice between man, versus a monkey. And you have a choice between the burning bush or Dr. Zaius. And that's an important choice you have to make today. And I entrust you to make the right choice. And I am sure that after hearing all the evidence today, you will vote with the defense and Mr. Darrow. That's me.
Prosecution will now call its first witness. Prosecution will begin its main plea.
The prosecution, I'm William Jennings Bryan, by the way. The prosecution calls to witness Scopes.
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Scopes is the defendant in a criminal trial. He has a Fifth Amendment right not to testify. But, Your Honor.
Bible says he can testify if I want him to.
Can you note my objection for the record, Your Honor?
The objection is noted.
The prosecution calls to rest.
Counsel, please be seated.
Is that me?
Calls to rest?
That's you.
Well, I've seen. I'm trying to.
Mr. Scopes, would you please stand up? Would you please place your right hand on this Bible?
I, sir, cannot do that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
If I may be heard.
You may.
Your Honor, this is prejudicial to the defense. The issue in this case is whether or not man descended from monkeys. And this Bible here, it favors the prosecution.
Counsel?
If we have The Origin of Species 1959 by Charles Darwin over there, I'll have him swear on that, if it pleases the court.
This is an
Swear on
infidel
the copy
court.
of The Origin of Species. Do you swear to tell
gold
the whole
standard.
truth, so help you God?
I do. Not.
I said, do you swear to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. Prosecution, that's you, may begin
Okay.
its examination
Okay.
of the witness, John Scopes.
Mr. Scopes, did you invent the mouthwash?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay.
I am quite fond of it, though.
Yeah, it's minty tasting and it lasts longer and it disinfects to cure the gum disease.
Prosecution will remain pertinent to the case.
Okay. Mr. Scopes, did you teach in a school that man was descended from some lower order of life?
Sir, I did do that.
Is that not against the laws of the state of Tennessee, specifically the Butler Act? Does this not violate the Butler?
Sir, when I heard of the Butler Act, I thought that I was going to have a man come by my home once a week to clean it up. I had known nothing about...
A simple yes or no will do, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Listerine. Okay, defense. Prosecution.
Prosecution.
Rests. And I'm William Jennings Bryan again, if we can see that.
The defense, Clarence Darrow, will now cross-examine the witness.
Now, Mr. Scopes, you just testified that you taught evolution to school children. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you remember the occasion in which you did teach evolution to these children?
Sir, I remember quite clearly. I was substituting that day. As you know, I'm a high school coach. And
what do you coach, sir?
Track and field.
All right. Respectable profession.
It was a good Nintendo game, too.
I was in the classroom. I had wheeled in the television and the VCR.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir. I popped in Bedtime for Bonzo, a great Ronald Reagan film.
Like that one myself.
And I just went off to the side, would play some online poker. In fact, I had a pair of pocket aces, first hand off, flopped the third one.
The witness will be concise in his reply.
Yes, sir.
You may continue.
Okay. Well, more or less, I was off in the background. They were watching Bedtime for Bonzo. And that was about it.
The defense rests, Your Honor.
The defense will now make its main pleadings in this case.
Well,
You may step down.
you may step down, Mr. Scopes. Now, Your Honor, the defense has several witnesses in this case, expert witnesses on theology and on science, that will testify that there is no substantial and meaningful difference between creationism, classically
Could you
conceived.
wake him up, please?
Counsel,
That's you.
you're not running for the president anymore.
I'm not.
We're at a trial
I had
here.
a dream that I won,
The
and I
names,
kicked
please.
McKinley out of the office. Let me tell you that much.
The first one is Evan Mills.
Denied.
The second one is, what do we got here? Evan Mills the second.
Denied.
Evan Mills the third.
Denied.
All right. Your Honor,
Oh, wait.
may I have
I see one here, a Mike McDonough.
Oh, yeah, we have Mr. McDonough on the witness list today. He will testify that there is no substantial difference between creationism and evolutionary.
And what is his area of expertise?
He's seed planet of the apes, sir.
Denied.
Your Honor, may I have the reason for your denial? At sidebar, of course.
The sidebar is not necessary. They can submit a written testimony which will be discussed in an appeal.
Can I have a Mounds bar?
Well, Your Honor, we have a right to a full defense today, right? And I need an expert on the subject of religion, specifically the Christian religion, in order to make my case. Now, where am I going to get that witness?
I should point out, I am an expert on the Bible, having written the Looney Tunes version of it.
As I said, your witnesses can submit a written testimony for an appeal.
Well,
I
have a
expert
jury
on
in the
Bible.
box, Your Honor, and I need these witnesses now. So
Bible
if Mr.
expert
Bryan's the only thing we
right
can do,
here.
then
You're
we'll
going to
take
call
it.
the prosecution as your next witness.
That's right.
The
Okay.
defense calls William Jennings Bryan as its witness.
This would be a good time, I think, to put a graphic up that says that I'm William Jennings Bryan. Prairie Adventure Mountain
Mr.
Lion.
Bryan,
Still.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes.
Will you put your right hand on this Bible? Mr. Bryan,
Am I taking the oath of office as President of the United States?
You failed at that?
Mr. Bryan,
What time's
Pretend
now?
this was
Is this time number 4,
1896,
Mr. Bryan?
and I won. This is what
Mr.
should have
Bryan.
happened in 1896.
do you
folks.
swear to tell the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Be seated.
Now, Mr. Bryan, you purport to be an expert in the Christian religion, isn't that right?
That I am, as well as the principles of free silver.
All right. You are an expert in the Christian religion, though, isn't that right?
Yes.
All right.
That I am.
And as an expert, you in fact believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible,
Yes.
right?
Everything that's in there is truth, sure as you're born, except for the part with Elmer Fudd and all that.
All right. So what was actually transcribed in the Bible occurred as it is written, isn't that right?
Yes, indeed.
To your belief.
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
that it is.
All right.
Now,
Now,
leave it for the agnostics to think otherwise.
Now, doesn't it say in the Bible, the book of Genesis, I believe, that Eve was created from Adam's rib? Isn't that true?
Yes, that's accurate enough.
All right. Now, what kind of rib was that? We got a Tennessee jury in the box right now. Is that a Memphis rib?
The Bible, I don't believe the Bible is specific on that issue.
Are you telling this jury that it wasn't a Memphis
I'm
rib?
sure that any
Are
good
you telling this jury that it wasn't
I
a
am
Memphis
sure
rib?
that any good Tennessee jury can believe in their own faith that it was a Memphis rib.
That don't sound like literalism to me. All right. Now, doesn't the Bible also say, Mr. Bryan, that Jonah was swallowed by a whale?
I believe it says a large fish.
All right, a large fish. Does it say that Jonah was swallowed by a large fish? And he lived to tell about it, isn't that right?
Oh, wait, this isn't Pinocchio, right? This is Jonah.
This isn't Pinocchio.
Okay.
This is the Bible that you're an expert at, isn't that right?
Well, I get them confused sometimes.
Prosecution.
One's Looney Tunes,
The witness will answer
Disney,
the
so-
question.
Yes.
All right. So Jonah was swallowed by a whale and lived to tell about
Yes, just like it says in the Bible, I think.
it. Now, by that logic, doesn't that mean that Robert Shaw is in a mechanical shark somewhere waiting to get out and tell a story?
Well, actually, this might be a good time to do my Robert Shaw impersonation. That's the USS Indianapolis, Chief. 1,100 men went into the water. I don't know how many sharks got
It's not a
lifeless
bad
eyes.
interpretation, Your Honor.
It's
really
like a
not.
doll's eyes, and them doll's eyes just roll over white. And
The defense.
you're supposed to invoke the no Robert Shaw in the courtroom law, I should say. Rule.
I'll move on, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right.
I'll move on to Hoopa.
Now, I have another question
In
about.
the courtroom.
I have another question, Mr. Bryan, about the Bible, since
Yes.
you're an expert at it. Now, the two first people in the world were Adam and Eve, isn't that right?
Just as the Bible says.
And they had two children, right? Cain and Abel?
Yes, Abel raised a Cain.
Right, that's right.
Or
And-
was it Adam?
And now, tell me, Counselor and Mr. Bryan, where did Cain get his wife?
I don't know. That's maybe he met her on the internet, demdates.com or something like that. And I am, of course,
Not a bad set, Your Honor.
a three-time
Respectable.
Democratic presidential candidate, so I should know. And the inspiration for the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. So, Brian's cool.
All right.
The witness is rambling.
And just one more question about your Bible expertise.
Yes.
All right. And there, in the story, in the Bible, there's also a story of Joshua, isn't that right?
Yes.
And Joshua stopped the sun in midair, right?
Or the earth or something.
He stopped the sun in the sky, right? Stopped it from moving?
Yes, that's what it says, yes.
All right.
Okay.
Now, that's just like Cobra Commander and his Weather Dominator in the second series of G.I. Joe, isn't that right?
Yes, but you see, God did it through miracles and not through a machine that can control the weather that
So
was
you're
built by
comparing
Destro.
God to Cobra Commander from the G.I. Joe series, is that right?
Objection. The
You're objecting.
consul's making fun of God.
Your Honor, I'm just
Sustained.
trying to get at the fact.
Sustained.
All right. My last question, Your Honor. Mr. Bryan,
Yes.
you don't believe in evolution, right?
No.
You don't believe that man descended from monkeys, right?
No.
Then why did I find this in your briefcase before the trial?
Uh,
Do you know what this is?
it's a souvenir from my trip to Donkey Kong Country, I think.
No further questions, Your Honor.
You may step down. You may step down.
Oh, that's
you.
me. Okay.
In the interest of moving this trial forth, each party will have a 30-second closing statement. And we'll begin with prosecution.
That me?
Yes.
Okay. On one hand, we have the forces of the gold standard, imperialism, exploitation of the workers. On another hand, we have the forces of free silver and the farmers who have made the American Republic great since the beginning. All I can say is you shall not place down upon the brow of labor this crown of thorns. You cannot crucify man upon a cross of gold.
Let's get serious, folks. Vote for the defense.
Jury is instructed. I know this trial has been lengthy and quite a bit of media attention. The jury is instructed to consider the facts of the case and to return a verdict. The jury rules in favor of Clarence Darrow in the defense. Ms. Scopes is acquitted of violating the Butler Act.
Oh, man.
Tasty banana.
Court dismissed.
All right.
I was robbed.
And we're back. Wasn't that an exciting trial?
I thought Bryan got robbed, personally. I mean, William Jennings Bryan was a great man, folks. You know, I voted for him in 1896, but after that, I switched over to Eugene V. Debs. And let me tell you this, too. You know, we changed the ending, and there was a number of anachronisms in it.
The jury seemed to think that Clarence Darrow argued the case of facts. I think it was the banana.
Yeah.
The banana was the smoking gun, so to speak, in this case.
Smoking banana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't enter that.
But the thing I liked about this is, though, the amount of future knowledge that the characters all seem to
Well, sure.
have. Yeah, that's because you know why? It's because, folks, William Jennings Bryan can transcend space and time.
And because Weymouth After Dark, like the poet, is interested in the past and in the future. Now, we actually